Hi there, it's Karen McDonald at Corrie Paper Crafts here. Thanks for dropping in today. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the UK. I do apologise for my voice during this video. I'm hoping it will last until the end. I'm just recovering from a virus and I don't quite have my voice back yet, so I do apologise. The other day you might have seen the video that I posted showing the swaps that I got at our recent team event last weekend. I was with several other of my Pootlers sisters at our team leader Sam's team event, which was a fabulous weekend, and that probably hasn't helped my voice either in terms of the talking and the laughing that we did all weekend. It was a fabulous weekend. There were about 36 or 37 of us there, so I made about 40 of these swaps, because today I'm going to show you how I made my swaps. To make these I used the Merry Bold and Bright suite, and inside they just close with a little bit of velcro, and inside there are some mints. There are a couple of mint imperials and a couple of after dinner mints as well, but I'm actually going to use a different paper to recreate it. I've made this project before, 2 or 3 years ago now, this little box, but it was just perfect for the sweeties that I wanted to take, and I really wanted to use this suite. I do apologise to those who did get a swap, because I think some of your little strings were missing, so they should have had a piece of silver string on them, but some didn't. But before I even do that, I must apologise to Trisha of Smith's Crafty Creations, is that right? I think so. Because she'd given me my own special swap before she then went round everybody else, because I don't use any dairy products, so she very kindly got me an oat based Nescafe, and I put it in a different bag from all my general swaps and the swaps that I was giving out, and I actually missed this, I'm sure, in the video that I filmed the other day. So Trisha, I am so sorry, I really didn't do that on purpose, so you get a special mention in this video. It's absolutely lovely, and I will be making this at some point over the weekend and sitting down and enjoying it. So on with the project that I'm going to show you how to make, because I'm actually going to a conference in about 45 minutes and I've been nominated for an award, so I can't be late. Excuse me, I'm just joining online, I'm not going in person because I've not been well. So to make this little box you will need a piece of cardstock which measures 8 inches by 5 inches, and I'm going to use cherry cobbler, and I'm using a couple of tiny bits of designer series paper from it's one of our new online exclusives. It is Traditions of St Nick designer series paper. So I'll show you these very, very quickly. They're beautiful. I just love this piece here, and as you can see I've used quite a lot of it already for other gifts. A lot more traditional on the backs, but there are some fairly... I'm not so keen on the backs, I have to say, but I do like the fronts of them. I really like this as well. I'm going to use this for some of my sweetie boxes that I make for Christmas time. That one's okay, but I'm not so keen on all the filigree bits. Very traditional fireplaces and trees with presents underneath as well. We've got some various, I think, Victorian, certainly vintage post boxes as well, and there's a bigger sheet of the little gingerbread man, and well, Santa we call them here in Scotland, and certainly in my family, but lots of people call them Father Christmas as well. So that is that paper, but it's one of our new online exclusives. And now I've just lost my little bit of paper that I'm going to use to make my box. Come out, come out, come out. There we go. So these little bits of paper measure 1 7/8 by 1 7/8, and this measures 1 7/8 by 7/8 of an inch, and the dimensions of the box are 2 inches by 2 inches by 2 inches really. I think it ends up 2 inches in height, well 1 7/8 roughly in height because of the angle. So I'm going to recreate this and let you see how I made it. I'm just going to bring in my scoreboard and I'm just going to make sure that you can see what I'm doing. There we go, and we don't have any glare as well. I do apologise, there is a bit of a shadow, but it's a very grey day here and it's only about 8:30 in the morning, so I'm not thinking it's going to get any brighter. So the scoring for this is really quite simple. We're going to score at 2, 4, 6 and 8 inches. So I think I said this piece of cardstock was 8 by 5. I apologise, it's 8 1/4, so it's a full width of one of our A4 sheets of paper, but if you have an 8 1/2 width, that's fine, just leave it at the 8 1/2. Turn it and then score it at 2 and 4, and that's all our scoring done. Now I think I have forgotten to bring my, oh no, wait a minute, I do have my, well I don't use a bone folder because I don't use, because it's made of bone, so I tend to use plastic ones, but I do have one here. So I'm going to fold and burnish on all of these score lines. I'm going to catch this little one first. And while I do that, I'm going to remind you of the amazing joining offer that we've got just now. If you join during October, you can choose to go for 35% off the cost of your starter kit, or you can choose to pay the normal £99, that's the cost in the UK, but get 35% extra product in your kit, or 35% money's worth extra in your starter kit. And that's because the Stampin' Up is 35 years old this year, so it's a bargain either way. I have one lady just joined my team yesterday, which was a lovely surprise, so people are certainly taking up the offer. So if you want to know any more, give me a shout if you don't already have a demonstrator that you shop with, and you're looking to join or want some more information, let me know. So while I was yapping on there, I've just removed this little narrow part here. This is going to be the bottom of the box. This is going to be the top. This is the section that makes this little flap here. So we need to remove some other bits as well. So I'm actually going to get a bigger pair of scissors to do this, because I've found a pair that I can actually cut straight lines with. So we're actually going to go to the opposite end from this little narrow tab, but I'm just going to turn it around to make it easier, and we're going to keep this part here. So the way I remember it is I keep the end section on the very opposite side from this narrow tab. Excuse me. So I'm going to cut down just to the left of that score line, so that I'm removing the score line with this part, and then I'm going to remove all of this all together. So as I say, I managed to cut in a fairly straight line using these scissors. I'm actually going to turn this round so that the bigger part of the box doesn't get in my way, and just very carefully cut along just underneath that score line and remove this piece all together. just get rid of this little corner. I can sort that after, save faffing just now. There we go. So this is what we're left with, and the only other bit of cutting we need to do is just to angle this part here just a little bit more. And that was a lie, we do still need to do some cutting. I don't think my brain's back in gear yet with this virus. I see a little wobbly bit there, so I'm just going to trim that off. There we go. So I'm just going to cut up these bottom sections which make the bottom of the box, but I'm actually going to just cut up either side of the score line so that I can remove the score lines altogether and avoid some overhang out the sides when I've put the box together. It doesn't have to be particularly neat because this is on the bottom of the box anyway. And then all I'm going to do is just snip these off and get rid of them. Any fluffy corners we can sort once we've put the box together. Now the only other thing I need to do is trim a couple of these bits to remove some of the bulk, but I'll do it once I've added my paper. So I now need to round the corners on the top of here, and I am using my retired trio punch because I can't get rid of it and it's my favourite corner punch, but any corner punch will do. And the same for the bottom of this part. Now as you can see, when the tub goes together, the rounded bit is on the bottom of this flap, so if you have a directional paper you need to be very careful. So with your pattern the right way up, you're actually going to round these two corners here. So just be careful when you come to rounding your corners. And I'm sorry if I'm moving the table because my tripod sits on the table. Okay, so that's that done. And where we're going to stick that is obviously on this little flap here. So let's add some glue, she said. And just centre that on this little flap here. Got a little bit of glue squishing out, but I'll get that with my glue eraser once it's dry. It dries clear anyway. And then we're going to miss a square from that and put our piece, our square piece, on this section here. Okay, so I'll stop and let you just see that once I've done it. So add in my piece of paper. Again, I'm just going to centre that on here like so. Don't then knock it squinty, Karen. Can't see straight above it, but I think that's straight. It's straight enough for now. Just give them a press on the underside. And then I'm going to do a couple more things just before I stick this together. So I'm just going to bring in my trusty little pad. This is excuse me, this is my old pad from the Stamparatus, and I'm just going to grab a pencil. So on these two sections here, I've turned it upside down just because I want to make a mark. So the section between the two bits that have got the paper on and this end section here, I just want to mark the middle of there. So we know that it's 2 inches wide. and each of these squares on here is 1 inch. We'll ignore the fact that I said I can cut straighter with my big scissors, because clearly I still can't. And I'm just going to make a little mark at 1 inch, so that's the middle. Okay, and I'm going to do the same here, just lining up the score lines with, I think that's straightish. Doesn't have to be perfect, and I'm going to make another little mark there. And then I'm going to get my ruler and a scoring tool which I've left downstairs, so I'm just going to use my paper creaser, and I'm going to make triangular score lines from that mark down to each of these corners. So if you use a piercing mat or grid paper or something kind of soft underneath, it helps you to make those score lines. There we go. Just make sure you get right into that corner and leave enough room for the width of whatever you're scoring with at the top, so that the lines meet at the top at that mark, or more or less. I've not quite made it on either of them, I don't think. And then I'm just going to come back and rub out my pencil marks, but those are going to be hidden because those are going to be folded over anyway, because that's what makes this little indentation here. So what I normally do is just give them another little fold, and it helps the box to go together just a little bit easier. You don't have to, because it will still follow those score lines when you push the box together, but I like to just give them an extra crease. Excuse me. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of glue, and I am getting braver with my glue, because normally I would use tearing tape for this, but I'm making myself use other things in other ways, so it also saves time. As long as you don't put too much on so that it all squishes out. And then I'm just going to hold that down just for a second or two, turn it over. Excuse any noises in the background, my guinea pig has decided that he's going to do some excited jumps. I think it's more hinting that he wants fed. Okay, so what I didn't do was a bit of trimming, which I should have done. So on the two base flaps attached to the bit where I've just put those triangular scores, I'm just going to chop off half of that. If you want to make it really neat, you can use your trimmer. And again, it's the section that's attached to the triangle, so just take about half off. It doesn't have to be exact. It's going to be on the bottom inside the box anyway. Let's get rid of those. And then those are the flaps that we're going to put in first. If they don't meet in the middle, it really doesn't matter. It's better that than them overlapping. And back in with my liquid multi-purpose glue, and I just want enough glue to hold down the back flap when I turn that in, but I do want them held down at the sides of the box so that they're not gaping. So the back flap is the one on the bottom of this little tab that doesn't have any DSP on it. So I'm just going to push those in and pull that back flap over, and then I'm just going to hold on to it for a minute. Give that a press down. Just enough for it to grip, and then the front flap gives us that nice, pleasing, smooth fold, so that we're not seeing lots of joins. And again, just some glue around the outside to make sure there are no gaps. and fold that over. And just hold it for a minute or two. The liquid glue does give you time just to manoeuvre that and make sure you've not got anything overhanging, but make sure that you're pulling all your squares together, and then back in with your bone folder or your paper creaser to make sure that's all stuck down right round the edges. I just go in with a point, and that is your box. And the idea is that it squashes together and the flap comes over. We can manoeuvre that, manipulate that a little bit, just because my sides were a little bit squint. So I'm going to use half of a Velcro dot to hold it together. It doesn't need a whole one because it's really small. And the white side I'm going to put on the lid or on the flap, so that the clear side lets you still see the pattern on the DSP when you open it. So hopefully, without getting my head under the camera, I'm going to add that about there so that it's not too near the edge and gives it a good grip. I'm just going to give that a press down, and then I'm going to remove the backing on the other side of that. And this is where you can then manipulate your box. So you really want that edge to be along this fold like so, and then you can just manipulate it at each side, pressing it down to make sure it's against that edge all the way along, and then just press the Velcro down very carefully. And as you can see, it's not obscuring any of the designer series paper, and it's just more pleasing to the eye, I think. And just go in with your paper folder and give that a good press down, and again just hold it together to close it, and that's your box made. There we go. So to decorate, I have ahead of time stamped in cherry cobbler and cut out a little sentiment just to pop on the front of here, but I'm not sure whether I should put it on the bottom or on the flap. I think I will just put it on there. And what I used for that is the Charming Sentiment stamp set, just this little For You here, and the Sentiment Silhouette dies. It is a bundle, but you can buy them separately. And it's just this tiny little die here. There are lots of dies. I think there's a die for everything on there. So it's quite a big die set, and I just absolutely love it. So that's what I used, but I did that ahead of time just to save a bit of time. Oops, better put you back in as well. And that is in the annual catalogue. That's not in the mini catalogue, that's in the annual catalogue, and it's actually £1 million seller, Lisa Curcio, who's a US demonstrator, who I watch quite often as well. So on the back I've just added some little dimensionals, mini dimensionals, and an extra bit just to get into that wee corner down there, because as you know we always use the edges of our dimensionals. So get all the backings off of these, and I'm going to pop that just on there. I think there we go, just for you. I'm not sure if I need to add something else. I haven't brought any bling with me, but I should have, so that I could add some bling, but I will add some little sparkly bits or something onto the lid of this. I need to make sure that's straight though, it's annoying me. There we go. So that's how you make that little box, but it doesn't just have to be for Christmas like these ones. I've actually made a couple of other versions. I've made one using Melon Mambo, and another one of our new exclusive papers, and my brain's not working, I can't remember what it's called, but it's in the online exclusive section, so it doesn't just have to be a Christmassy box. It can be to celebrate, or it can be for a birthday. This is a Bubble Bath. Is it one of our new core colours? Oh, my brain, honestly, I do apologise. Excuse me. Or you can just wrap some ribbon round a couple of times just as a bit of decoration and not have any sentiments at all. So you can use it for whatever you like, or you can make them ahead of time and then pick a box and put your sentiment on just before you gift it to someone. So it doesn't just have to be a little Christmas box, and it certainly wasn't a Christmas box the last time I made it as well. But there you go. I hope you enjoyed that. I'm going to rush off now and get ready for my conference, and thankfully I don't have to do any speaking in that today. So there are lots of deserving people who have been nominated for this award. I'm delighted to have been one of them. I'm sure there are lots of very deserving people who have been nominated, so I'm really looking forward to seeing that and enjoying the rest of the conference. So thanks again, and take care, and I will see you very soon. Bye bye.